In 1967, the first METCO buses arrived in Hingham, Massachusetts. You know, when my mother came to Hingham in 1951, she was a country girl from Mansfield that all of a sudden was living in this environment where everyone knew her last name, which was kind of shocking to her. My mother didn't get her license until she was 34. So imagine having 7 children and not driving anywhere until you got your license at 34. 2 years later, she became a volunteer METCO person. So, you know, our mother went from not driving to driving, and then all of a sudden she wasn't driving us, she was driving kids in and out of Boston. It was kind of, you know, amazing to see. We were all pretty proud of her. The first kids to be brought into Hingham with METCO were high school students. My mother was, at the time, volunteering to assist them with getting acclimated to going to school in Hingham. It's not well known by most people that my mother was actually a commuter into Boston to go to school when she was 9 years old. She went from Mansfield, Massachusetts into Roxbury Latin school system to educate herself. So she was quite familiar with the experience of going to another place to get an education and coming home and the long journey. So she was glad to help out with the METCO program. In 2003, my mother, Camila Roundtree, was named Citizen of the Year in Hingham. That experience for my children was amazing because, you know, they always knew their grandmother was a busy lady, but they really didn't understand the full breadth of what she had done in the town of Hingham. So it was a great opportunity for my children and my nieces and nephews to see what my mother had achieved in her life.
I can never stop saying it, and I will never stop saying that I could not be where I am without Mrs. Roundtree. She was the METCO coordinator who accepted me into this town and saved my life in the process. And for that, I call her my hero. She was the one who would pull me to the side if something didn't seem right. We were welcome in her house that was on 99 Ward Street to get something to eat, sleep, even get cleaned up. More than anything, Mrs. Roundtree was a second mother to me and every child that came across her path, even after Hingham High School. And when it came time for me to graduate college years later, I invited her to my graduation ceremony, and she arrived. I went to go and visit Mrs. Roundtree during Thanksgiving 2021, and I was super thankful to have made that journey.
My wife is a METCO alum, and I graduated from Boston Public Schools. The elephant in the room is you're coming from, you know, whatever inner city you're coming from, and you're going to a completely different community where, you know, people may not be so tolerant of the differences. Also, without like saying a whole lot, like the political climate has changed, right? Where it's made it so it's very polarizing and very sensitive, and then social media has changed a bunch of things. So I wasn't looking forward to that kind of experience and having those conversations. And I think it's important for children to be children and, you know, have those conversations as they come. But the conversations that I would have with my black son is certainly different than a conversation that someone would have with their son. So, you know, very long-winded, but I wasn't looking forward to being involved in anything. However, I felt like it wasn't an option for me not to be involved. My wife is a teacher, and, you know, the way her schedule is set up, it just is what it is, and, you know, so I kind of chimed in, and I was helping, and now I just kind of take on the whole load. But it's fine, and it also provides a little bit of hopefully healthy fear, because Daniel knows that people know me and they can get a hold of me, and, you know, if he's cutting up a little bit, it's going to be an immediate text and say, hey. So I'll take that healthy fear and keep him on the straight and narrow.
I had to get used to switching classes and also having grades, and so that meant I had to take my, you know, schoolwork more seriously. at my old school, I just stayed in one class primarily, and then like we had specials where we would go to a different building or something like that. By the time 8th grade hit, that was, I'd say, probably like most fun I've had, like, period, in school. I had like the same people in all of my classes, and it was just like a lot of people that I got along with really well.
You know, as someone from a different community, right, being a part of METCO, I think when you send your child, it's important to make sure that you show up and that you're a part of it and that you're an advocate and that you're a participant. And all too often, you know, we kind of just send our children out, and we're all busy and we all have different things to do. However, I've made a pledge that I want to be a part and also, you know, get to know people and have people get to know me. And that's how I feel like we form a better society.